What's up guys, Reaper of the Mist here, and in today's video we are continuing What If Naruto was Madara's grandson. This is part 4 I believe. Anyway, last time where we left off, Naruto just warped Sasuke into his Kamui dimension, and that's where we're gonna take off. What do you mean you're Madara's grandson? Sasuke asks questionably. I said it the way it is. I am Madara's grandson. But that's not possible. He died over 100 years ago. Or over 80 years ago. Yes, that's what most believe, but in actuality, he had survived. Doesn't matter, I'm still better than you, you dope. Is that right? Naruto asks, tilting his head and giving a little eye smile, giving him a sickeningly sweet smile that sends shivers down Sasuke's spine. As Naruto appears in front of Sasuke and knees him in the stomach, grabs him by the back of his collar and the top of his pants and swings him around and throws him, appears in front of him and grabs him by the throat, then slams him into the ground. If you're better than me, Naruto asks, how did I beat you? It's not possible, Sasuke says in a graspy tone before passing out. Naruto scratches the back of his head, saying to himself, probably shouldn't have gone that rough. Doesn't matter anyway, those were just light punches, as Naruto chuckles to himself. An hour later, Sasuke wakes up with a sore in his stomach and a sore head. I see you're finally awake, Naruto asks. How did you get so strong? Sasuke asks. The entire time I've been here since birth was just a clone of me. In actuality, I have been raised by my grandfather. But if that's impossible, you would have at least have to be over 120. Indeed he was, Naruto says solemnly. Sasuke asks with a raised eyebrow. Yes, sadly my grandfather had passed away. Well, he was a traitor to the clan. I'm not sure how to feel about this. He was still a clansman and one of the last Uchiha. Yes, he was a good man, Naruto says. But his death awakened my Mangekyo Sharingan, and my grandfather still had his original eyes, so I could get this, as Naruto activates his eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. That looks like the drawings of Madara's Mangekyo, but the lines on the side are different, they're bending. Yes, it appears that when you obtain the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, the Mangekyo Sharingan of yours and the person's whose eyes you have mix into one. How is that exactly possible? Sasuke asks. Well, it's still your chakra, your Mangekyo Sharingan, but because the eyes are different, they will always have that Mangekyo Sharingan's original pattern, so the two of them just mix, I guess, Naruto says, scratching the back of his head. But Sasuke, Naruto says, getting Sasuke's attention, You are an arrogant, selfish, power hungry brat. Sasuke clenches his teeth and makes a fist, knowing that if he spoke out of line, Naruto would pummel him into the ground. But we can change that. What do you mean? Sasuke asks, much to the delight of Naruto, who gets a sickeningly big smile, putting Sasuke on edge. What I mean is, I am going to train you like my grandfather trained me. And believe me, that it's not gonna be easy. Naruto says, laughing to himself almost in hysterics. When I'm done with you, Sasuke, you will be at least a low Jonin or high tuning. That is depending how well your body has developed over the years. Depending on how developed you are will atone for how strong you can be without drugs. And I don't believe in drugs. Because drugs are bad. Sasuke gets a deadpan look and says that he is not an 8-year-old. And this is not a Leaf Police Force interview in a school. Naruto chuckles to himself, saying, I suppose you're right. But I will be training you, and by the time I'm done, you will be far stronger than you could ever imagine. For example, you might even get the 3 Tomoe Sharingan, or perhaps the 2. Sasuke gets excited knowing that he could awaken his Sharingan. So how about it, Sasuke? Are you ready for one of the toughest experiences of your life? Sasuke starts shaking, and Naruto notices this and says that you don't need to be that afraid. He looks up at him with a smirk and says, I'm shaking with excitement. Naruto chuckles and says, very well then, let's go and continue, but first we should probably let your body heal. Sasuke nods and looks around and says, is there a way out of here? Naruto then activates his Mangekyo Sharingan and a swirling vortex engulfs Sasuke and drops him off in his home. Naruto then uses his vortex to appear in his own apartment. He then takes off his clothes and goes in the shower, as does Sasuke. They then get ready for bed and sleep. Sasuke excited for the training, and Naruto wondering how he can handle a torn muscle or a lot of torn muscles. As the next day comes round, Naruto and Sasuke awaken and each go for a shower. A swirling vortex appears in Sasuke's kitchen, where he is enjoying breakfast. Naruto then appears out of the vortex and asks Sasuke if he's ready. Sasuke then says that he is. He then asks if the two will be spending all day in his dimension. He nods and says that he already has equipment there for his training and that the Kamui dimension will be split into separate sections. One for spiritual meditation. Sasuke looks at him with a questionable look, asking what that could do. Naruto then looks at him and says that there is so much he does not know. To prove his point, he then jumps up on the ceiling using chakra to stick to it. Sasuke looks at this and is amazed. Are you saying that with meditation I can do that? Naruto then says no, but with chakra control exercises, yes. Sasuke then looks at him, wondering what good is chakra control. He then looks at him and says, with chakra control you can avoid using any unnecessary amounts of chakra in a jutsu. For example, would you rather use the perfect amount of chakra in a fireball jutsu, or waste some that could help you in a battle later? Sasuke then sees his point and nods. The two get swirled away in the vortex. As Sasuke is in a spiritual meditation pose, trying to control pieces of chakra going from one part of his body and moving it around, keeping it in one singular point. And the longer it goes on, the weaker or stronger it gets. He needs to make it weak at this point, strong in this point, and the more he does it, the faster he needs to do it. He then stops and starts breathing heavily. Then Naruto says that he needs to eat, but he will be training in different methods, learning to either ignore the pain of hunger or avoid it altogether. Sasuke then goes and does physical exercises like he's never done before, and is on the ground in a pool of sweat as he's breathing heavily. He then gets up after he cleans himself, but his clothes are still a little damp because of the sweat. Naruto then lets him collect himself before they begin sparring. Although it's mainly just Naruto teaching him taijutsu. At the end of the day, well, this is only lunchtime now. As Sasuke's clothes are ripped and torn. But Naruto just doesn't have any marks on him. He then warps in more clothes from Sasuke's home and tells him that there's a cabin down there and that he should go and shower. Sasuke sees this cabin and runs off. He then returns after a shower and some new clothes, as he then sits down and enjoys lunch. Again, the day continues with more training in chakra, learning about the Sharingan and basic studies. As Sasuke is amazed, he knew how powerful the Sharingan was, but hearing how Naruto could use it was amazing. The level is so devastating yet so simple. It is amazing what a simple genjutsu can do. He then goes on to explain that when he awakens his Sharingan, their training will get more intense, and Sasuke will learn to keep his Sharingan active for days, hours, and possibly maybe even learn to have it active for a full year straight without having to deactivate it, having it active even in his sleep. Sasuke is a bit nerve-wracked by this and asks if Naruto can do it. He nods, but he's learning to keep his Mangekyo active for that long. He says that he even has his Mangekyo Sharingan on right now, but he keeps it hidden under a Genjutsu, which will be the same for Sasuke. He doesn't want anyone to know Sasuke's true power. So he'll just be at the top of the class, just barely ahead of the other students. Well, maybe not barely. The Uchiha still have a reputation to uphold. Somewhat, anywho. This continues for days and then months. As we cut to just a month and a half from graduation, as Naruto and Sasuke are standing on the water. Both of them holding up the half ram seal in preparation for their fight. Sasuke activates his Sharingan and so does Naruto, as the two of them rush each other and collide their forearms. The two engage in a fearsome taijutsu battle. Naruto sweeps Sasuke's legs. Sasuke jumps in the air and goes to kick Naruto's face, but he brings up his arms and blocks it. So Naruto then kicks off the ground and Sasuke appears in front of him with air around his open hand as he says, "One style, air palm." As Naruto gets hit inside and coughs up some liquid. He then takes advantage of this and puts his hands on Sasuke's hips, jumps up in the air and wraps his legs around Sasuke's throat and spins him to the ground, much like how Obito did to Kakashi. Two of them engage in this fearsome taijutsu, knowing that while Naruto is better at Sasuke in ninjutsu and overall power, they're practically the same in taijutsu and the usage of some of the Sharingan. When it comes down to it, Sasuke is incredible when it comes to genjutsu, but Naruto is just seemingly better. When it comes to copying people's moves, Sasuke is amazed at how good and easy it is. While Naruto can do it, he chooses not to because he likes to respect his opponent. When it comes to visual prowess, Naruto's just overall better, while Sasuke is good in his own right. When it comes time to get into the ninjutsu, the both of them weave the same hand signs and say fire style, great fireball jutsu, as a regular fireball but big, is sent hurtling towards Naruto, but Naruto spits out a small burning ball of fire surrounded in blue flames. This goes launching towards Sasuke's fireball and cancels it out, sending a slightly weaker one towards Sasuke, which he is able to block, but part of him is still on fire. The two of them engage in another taijutsu battle until Naruto trips him and then kicks him, weaves hand signs and says, "One style, one bullet jutsu," as he sends 1 bullets towards Sasuke, which he's just barely able to see with his Sharingan, which he's able to dodge, but when he stands up, he sees Naruto right in front of him, and he is placed under a genjutsu. Sasuke is able to get out of this genjutsu, but not fast enough, for when he comes out, he sees a giant blue fist coming at him as Naruto says no, as he sees Naruto's hand engulfed in flames, blue flames, as he says Uchiha style, fire style, Uchiha style, Halo dance, as he sends swipes of rings of fire sending towards Sasuke as Naruto disappears and slashes at Sasuke, but he is able to dodge this, but not the previous attack as he's hit with it and sent flying towards Naruto. Naruto then grabs his chin, pushing him up to the air, then grabbing his throat, then slamming him to the ground. Sasuke chuckles and so does Naruto, despite the fact that two of them are in quite an ordeal of pain. Despite the fact that it wasn't seen much, Sasuke still put a lot of pain and strain on Naruto's body. Sasuke is amazed at how strong he's gotten in just 6 months. He went from not being able to touch Naruto to almost rivaling him. As Naruto creates the half ram seal and points at Sasuke, Sasuke then in turn creates one, and the two of them lock fingers, signifying that the battle was over. Naruto then gives Sasuke his hand, and Sasuke takes it and pulls himself up. Naruto then asks Sasuke if he remembers what happened with him and the kunai. Flashback. It was the second day of their training, and Naruto got out a kunai and told Sasuke to give him his shoulder. He asks why and Naruto says it will be memorable in his training. He then walks over and gets stabbed in the arm by the kunai. He then screams out in pain, and Naruto pushes it in and twists it a little, causing the splurge of his blood and muscles, causing him to scream out in even more pain and almost throw up from the sound and the feeling. He then tells Sasuke to remember this pain, and he does. He then, present day, Naruto gets out a kunai and Sasuke is a bit on edge, but before he can react, Naruto is right beside him and stabs him in the arm with the kunai yet again. Sasuke feels the pain, but it is nothing compared to what the original pain was. Naruto then twists the kunai around and pushes it in a little bit more. He feels this pain and winces from it, but overall he is fine. The two of them continue this for the next few months, and when it comes time for the graduation, two of them are ready. All the team names are said, and the last one is Team 7. Sasuke Uchiha and Naruto Uchiha, Menma Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno. Their team leader will be Kakashi Hatake, as Sasuke and Naruto aren't too happy with the fact that they got the number one and most obsessive fangirl. The two of them then just sit in the back of the class and wait for their Jonin sensei. Naruto, after 5 minutes of everyone being gone, shoots his head up and remembers something. He turns to Sasuke and says that they're leaving. Sakura says that they can't because they need to wait for their sensei. Naruto then chuckles at this and puts his hand on Sasuke and then swirls away in a vortex. No. Naruto then swirls away in the vortex and then Sasuke gets out a scroll. No. In fact, no. Sasuke's eye then shifts into Naruto's Mangekyo Sharingan as he is swirled away in a vortex. Flashback. It was 3 months into their training and Naruto told Sasuke that he needs to see his finger. Sasuke is a bit on edge because of the whole kunai incident before, and Naruto just chuckles and Sasuke gives him his finger. He then cuts it and drips Sasuke's blood on a scroll. Naruto then uses a simple healing jutsu and heals Sasuke's smally cut finger. He then tells Sasuke to weave these hand signs as Sasuke activates his Sharingan to see them. He then tells him to slam his hands on the scroll and employ chakra to it when he says. He then does it while Naruto holds his right eye. As Sasuke and the scroll connect, Sasuke asks what that really did. Naruto tells him that he should do the exact same hand signs while employing chakra to the seal while thinking of his bedroom. Sasuke then does this and his right eye morphs into Naruto's Mangekyo Sharingan as he is whirled away in a vortex. Naruto then activates his Kamui and swirls away too. Sasuke is shocked about what he just did until he sees Naruto. He then asks him what that was. He then says that he just gave him access to his Kamui dimension, feeling that he can trust Sasuke over this time. He says, but if you ever betray him, that ability will destroy his eye. Of course, Naruto is lying about this, but Sasuke does not know this. He then puts a hand on Naruto's shoulder and says that he wouldn't betray another Uchiha, and most importantly, a friend. Naruto then gets a slight smile at this, or an eye smile. He then tells Sasuke that over time he should be able to use it on his own, but for him it's restricted. He can only bring himself into the dimension or others, but the others must be in a certain range of Sasuke. No. He can only bring few people, and these people will be either people with a seal on them or people that Sasuke is touching. He has to touch the people, or the people he is touching have to touch other people. He then goes on to explain that with much practice he won't need the seal. All he would need is to learn how to think about it. Sasuke then nods in approval as present day. Everyone is confused at how they two just disappeared as they went into the Kamui dimension and enjoyed the bright blue sky and the trees with a nice light breeze as they eat. He then turns to Naruto and asks why he did that. He turns to Sasuke and says that the name Kakashi reminds me of Jonin. Jonin, who has a bad habit of being late. So we're just going to stay here or do whatever for about 2 hours. Then we'll head back to the academy and see if he's there or not. After 2 hours, the two of them appear in the classroom at the back, suppressing their auras so that no one knows that they're there. Kakashi then comes in and says, "Excellent, all four of you can come with me." Sakura has a confused look as she says, but there's only two of, as she turns around and sees Sasuke and Naruto. Sasuke then looks at her, but looks at Kakashi, saying that he's 2 hours and 5 minutes late. Kakashi then gets a deadpan look, saying that I can't believe you actually took the time. Sasuke then says that it was pretty easy considering that I can tell time. I didn't actually sit out and count the seconds that you were not here. I have better things to do with my life. Kakashi then gets an eye smile and tells them to meet him on the roof as he disappears in a body flicker. As Naruto and Sasuke do the same and arrive there at the same time, but just a little bit behind Kakashi. He is surprised that they know the body flicker. In conjunction with the Sharingan, these two could rival both Itachi and Shisui if they're good enough. Kakashi tells them all to introduce themselves. Sakura says that she likes Sasuke being useless and a pathetic fangirl as she is, and says that she hates Menma. Menma's is basically the same as Naruto's, and now we get Naruto's and Sasuke's. Sasuke says that he likes training, trying new things, and various things like that, saying that his dream is to kill a certain someone and restore his clan. Naruto says, "My name is Naruto Uchiha,